It's the power linguist, the bad boy of linguistics, Christophe Clugston, back with a topic that someone asked me to respond to because of some other people putting up this question, more or less a question, and it's not just the first time. It's one of those circulating questions. Can you learn a language without leaving the country that you're in? Meaning, can you learn a language of another country by staying where you are? Basically. Well, you've got, of course, all the dilettantes saying, yes, you can do this. You can learn a language wherever you're at. Yes, and I'll give you an analogy in a minute about that. And then they say things that also want to drive home this, like people who go to other countries don't learn the language. Many people who go don't do it. And okay, now let's get that qualified, because they like to talk in generalities and mixing topics around when there's very specifics to deal with. Okay, number one, they're talking about going to countries as a tourist or a retiree. Or they even say living in the country is no guarantee that you will learn the language. Only if you're an expat sticking out, living around other expats who works with companies that are expat, that are international. That's the only way. Okay, so I'm going to qualify this and destroy their would-be specious logic. Okay, number one, can you learn a language in a different country? Yes, just like you can learn to play basketball, or you can learn how to even box without ever getting into a real basketball game or into the real boxing ring. However, you will never have the level, never, listen to me again as I say it, never, as a dilettante, never will you ever be able to compete with a professional fighter or a professional boxer, I've said that, professional basketball player, if you have never, ever been in high-level competition. And this goes now, how does this make sense to you people out there with language learning? Because if you're learning a language, you're playing Little League. You're doing nothing in your own country. Immersion is the closest you're going to get. Immersion programs like and I'll go to the country. Yeah, well, history, or the other big thing, that the learning monologues that Moses McCormick always likes to do, where he talks about the same thing over and over so he can talk about himself and say, I like this language. I feel learning languages is enriching. I've learned this. My teacher is myself. Yeah, oh, look at me. Okay, none of that's nobody cares. The reality and functionally, nobody cares. Talking about where you learn basketball or where you learn to box doesn't matter when you're eating punches, now does it? So if you understand the metaphor, then you're getting what I'm talking about here. So you will never learn the language at a high level if you do not use that language every day, and if you don't live in the milieu where it is spoken. It is not going to happen. And the people who go to countries as expats wall themselves off, insulate themselves. Basically, as retirees, they don't want to extend any sort of effort to learn the language. That is, the overwhelming over 90% don't. If they're English speakers, they don't want to learn any other language. They think everyone else should cater to them, regardless of where they live in the world. And the other people who work in international corporations, so I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. Yet, the other people who've working in those corporations are probably from other language communities, have learned English, but you cannot learn Japanese. Actually, the people who who are doing really well now in business, international business, are ones who do speak another language, and this is going to be very big with Brazilian Portuguese. That's a whole other topic, but anyway. So the people who use these things as reasons why they don't learn, because one, they're too old. They don't have to, because they're shelling out money. So this will now define what I'm getting to here. If you have to make money from the native population, if you set up an actual business that you have to interface with native speakers in the macro language, which is not English, then you will have to learn the language and be functional, and you will have to reach a good level. Now, this flies in the face of everything else, and this doesn't matter about history or talking about how enriching a language is. Look, if you're working as booking tours, let's say you're here in Thailand and you're running a tour company that brings in people who speak English, but you have to interface with the Hill Tribes people and talk about how many people you're going to bring to that village, or you're going to take to the elephant camp, or to the crocodile thing, or the snake shows. That's going to be done in Thai. Okay, so if you cannot speak, you're not going to get that. Also, you're not going to get the deals on shuttling the people back and forth, the transportation. You're not going to be able to book things. You're not going to be able to reserve things. It's just not going to happen. If you think the whole thing's going to work in English and that you're just going to get by with English, it's not going to happen. So anytime that you have to make money from the actual macro language society, your language skills are going to go up and through the roof, actually. So that's very strange, because you got that same argument from Kaufman saying that the Chinese who come to Vancouver don't have this high level. They can't run a business in English. Whereas you're promoting people learning things about history that can't functionally talk about where I can buy shoelaces, Kaufman. Okay, so the point being, to answer this, to recapitulate this, can you learn a language without leaving the country you're in? Yes. Will you be able to be fluent? No. Will you be able to be functional? No. Will you be like a little league Little League Baseball in the United States, or whatever they call it in hockey, whatever their little pee-wee hockey thing? That's the level you're going to be at. Yeah, that is where you're going to be at. You can't step in there, or you're a white-collar boxing guy, or you're aerobic kickboxing, or you're whatever, aerobic MMA. You think you're doing that stuff, you're hitting a few bags, and you're doing it in the air, and you think you're ready to step into the cage or the ring? You think so? Yeah, you're going to get your ass flattened. And that's the same thing that's going to happen when you go over and try to exist in the country. Because I feel it's enriching. Boom, pow, poop. You've been single-legged, you've been ground and pounded, and you're about to be choked, tapped out, and knocked out all at the same time. So you have to change your methods. You have to change your whole mindset about that. So no, the answer is no. You cannot become fluent. You cannot be functional if you do not use the language every day and live in the milieu. Can you play at the game? Yes, that's why all the dilettantes are on here, talking about their software programs, talking about their, look, I will teach you to say hello, my name is, I like learning this language, I feel it's enriching. Oh, I like to speak languages. Oh, my teacher is garbage. Complete garbage that doesn't take you anywhere closer to functional usage, which in the long run means making a damn living. All right, so I'm out here being real, because I'm the bad boy of linguistics telling you how it is. So stick with me, more things coming up, but there we go.